Scorpio, you are trapped, not in a physical prison with bars and locks, but in a much more sophisticated and cruel prison, one that you yourself built without realizing it. And the worst part, you have the key in your hand right now at this very moment, but you are looking at it without recognizing what it is. In the next few minutes, I will show you exactly where you are trapped, why you haven't escaped yet, and most importantly, what you need to do differently to finally free yourself from this situation that has been draining your vital energy for far too long. You know exactly what situation I'm talking about. That job that suffocates you but you can't quit. That relationship that died months ago but you insist on resurrecting. That self-destructive behavior pattern you repeat as if it were programmed. That version of yourself that you hate but continue to be. You want to leave. God, how you want to leave. But something holds you back. Something invisible but powerful that keeps you exactly where you are, watching your life pass by while you dream of a different version of yourself that never arrives. And here's the brutal truth that no one has dared to tell you yet. You're not trapped because you lack options. You're trapped because you're afraid of what you'll find on the other side of the exit. Because leaving means entering the unknown. It means letting go of what's familiar, even if it's toxic. It means admitting you wasted time, energy, and emotion on something that had no future. It means facing the possibility that maybe you're wrong about things you've believed for years. And for a Scorpio who prides themselves on their control and intensity, that feels worse than staying where they are. Can you feel how this fear is disguised as loyalty, as responsibility, as it's not the right time? You're not waiting for the perfect moment to leave. You're waiting for the situation to become so unbearable that leaving becomes the only possible option. You're waiting for your job to fire you instead of you quitting, waiting for the relationship to end so dramatically that you have no choice but to leave. Waiting for the universe to force you to change because you can't muster the courage to choose change. But here's the problem. While you wait for the catastrophe that will set you free, you are slowly dying. Your energy is being drained. Your light is being extinguished. Your most powerful version is being suffocated by the version you've become trying to survive where you are. Scorpio, what I'm about to reveal will give you the exact roadmap for getting out of this. Not vague theories or generic motivational advice, a concrete plan based on how your Scorpio mind works and how you can use it to your advantage instead of against yourself. Because the problem isn't that you're weak, you're terribly strong. The problem is that you're using all that strength to endure an unsustainable situation instead of using it to create a way out. The first thing you need to understand is why you build these prisons for yourself. Scorpios have a complex relationship with transformation. You are the sign of death and rebirth, but here's the secret few realize. You are only reborn after resisting death for too long. You cling to what is dying with all your characteristic intensity, trying to keep it alive through sheer willpower. And only when there is absolutely nothing left to do, when everything has completely rotted away, do you finally let go and allow transformation. But what if you could choose to let go sooner? What if you could recognize when something is dying and allow it to die with dignity instead of prolonging the agony? What if you could use your capacity for transformation consciously and deliberately instead of just reacting when there is no other choice? That is the evolution you are being called to make now. Don't wait for catastrophe. Choose transformation. For Scorpios born between October 23rd and November 2nd, what holds you back is a distorted sense of loyalty. You believe that leaving would be betraying someone. Your boss, your partner, your family, even yourself. But loyalty to dead situations isn't a virtue, it's self-sabotage. For those born between November 3rd and 12th, what holds you back is pride. You've invested so much, time, emotion, identity, that leaving feels like admitting failure. But continuing to invest in something without return isn't persistence, it's destructive stubbornness. And for those born between November 13th and 21st, what holds you back is fear of your own power. You know that if you leave, you'll have to take full responsibility for your life, no excuses, and that's terrifying. But regardless of what specifically is keeping you stuck, the pattern is the same. You're confusing suffering with meaning. You're believing that the harder something is, the more valuable it must be. That if it doesn't hurt, you're not trying hard enough. That giving up is weakness. But here's the truth that will set you free. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop fighting and simply walk away. Now I'm going to give you the exit plan. And pay attention, because this goes against all your Scorpio instincts, but that's exactly why it's going to work. First step, stop waiting to feel like leaving. You never will. Your mind will keep creating reasons to stay until the last second. One more month, after the holidays, when I have more money, when I find something better. These are illusions. The truth is, you leave first, and motivation comes later, clarity comes later, peace comes later. But you have to take the first step without guarantees, without certainties, without knowing what it will be like on the other side. And that goes against everything you believe about planning and control. Second step, identify the narrative you're using to justify staying. Every Scorpio has one. I'm not the type to give up. I need this money person situation. No one else will want, hire, understand me. I've already invested too much to leave now. Things will get better. Write down this narrative. Look at it, and then recognize that it's just a story you're telling yourself, not an objective truth. The reality is that you're using this narrative as a mental chain that keeps you imprisoned. Third step, make a list of everything you are sacrificing to stay where you are. Your mental health, your time, your energy, your opportunities, your peace, your joy, your relationships with other people, your creativity, your growth. When you truly calculate the cost of staying, you realize you are paying an absurd price for something that doesn't give you adequate return. You are trading your life for crumbs of false comfort. Fourth step, and this is the most important, decide on a date. Not soon or when I'm ready. A specific date on the calendar. Day X of such and such month I will do Y. And then work backward from that date, creating the necessary steps to make the exit possible. Scorpios need concrete commitment. When you set a date, you transform vague intention into a real decision, and decisions have power. Fifth step, tell someone you trust what you're going to do and when. This creates external accountability. It's much harder to back out when you've voiced your commitment to someone else. And choose someone who won't try to convince you to stay, but who also won't let you sabotage yourself with last-minute excuses. Scorpio, you're probably thinking, but what if I leave and regret it? What if it's a mistake? Here's the answer. Maybe it is. But you know what's guaranteed? That staying where you are is also a mistake you're actively making every day. At least if you leave and it doesn't work out, you tried, you acted, you gave yourself a chance. Staying is slow and certain death. Leaving is the possibility, even if uncertain, of a different life. And here's something nobody tells you about leaving. You don't need to have everything figured out beforehand. You don't need another job lined up before quitting your current one. You don't need another guaranteed relationship before ending what isn't working. You don't need to know exactly who you're going to be or what you're going to do next. You leave first, and then you figure it out. Life has a way of organizing itself when you create space for it. But while you're occupying all your space with something that doesn't serve you, there's no room for something new to enter. You also need to prepare yourself for what you'll feel when you finally get out. In the first few days, you'll feel euphoria. I did it! I'm free! But then comes the doubt. Did I do the right thing? Then comes the fear. What now? And you might even have a strange urge to go back, because at least there you knew what to expect. That's normal. It's your brain panicking with the uncertainty. Don't go back. This phase will pass. And on the other side of it is a version of yourself that you don't even remember existed, or that never had a chance to exist, because it was imprisoned. Scorpio, Let me be even more direct about what's really happening. You're using your resilience against yourself. That same strength that allows you to survive the impossible is now being used to prolong your own suffering. It's as if you're in a burning building, but instead of getting out, you're using all your energy to learn how to breathe smoke. You're taking pride in your ability to endure the unbearable when you should be using that energy to build a way out. And do you know why you do this? Because at some point in your life, you were taught that enduring pain is a sign of character, that strong people don't give up, that you should fight to the end, regardless of what you're fighting for or whether that fight makes any sense. But nobody taught you the difference between productive persistence and useless self-flagellation. Nobody told you that sometimes the strongest act is recognizing when something is no longer worth your energy. Here's a simple test. Imagine you have a friend in an identical situation to yours. Same problems, same circumstances, same suffering. What would you say to that person? Would you tell them to keep going, to hold on a little longer, to give it another chance? Or would you tell them to leave immediately before it's too late? The answer you would give to another person is the answer you already know deep down, but are denying to yourself. I'll tell you something about Scorpios that few people realize. You're addicted to emotional intensity. You can't function in lukewarm temperatures. It's all or nothing. Extreme passion or total indifference. And when you're in a bad situation, at least it's intense. There's drama, there's emotion, there's something happening. The idea of leaving and entering a phase of neutrality, where there's neither the high of drama nor the low of toxic stability, seems unbearably boring. So you stay, not because it's good, but because it's intense. And you confuse intensity with meaning. But here's what you need to understand. There's a difference between constructive intensity and destructive intensity. Building something new is intense. Transforming your life is intense. Facing your fears is intense. But staying in a toxic situation because you're used to the emotional roller coaster isn't intensity, it's addiction. And like any addiction, it's slowly killing you while giving you the illusion that it's making you feel alive. Another thing you need to recognize, you're using the concept of loyalty in a distorted way. Scorpios are incredibly loyal. It's one of their greatest virtues. But you've turned loyalty into a prison. You're being loyal to dead versions of people, loyal to promises that were broken long ago, loyal to potentials that never materialized. That's not loyalty, it's denial. True loyalty is to the truth of what things are now, not to the fantasy of what you hoped they would be. And about that fear of admitting you wasted time, you need to stop that now. It wasn't wasted, it was learning. Every moment you spent in that situation taught you something essential about who you are, what you tolerate, and what you will never accept again. You didn't lose years, you gained wisdom you wouldn't have acquired otherwise. But now that you have that wisdom, using it means leaving. Continuing after learning the lesson would be the real waste. I'll give you concrete examples of how to start today, right now, this instant, after finishing this video. If you want to quit a job, open your computer and update your resume. You don't need to send it to anyone yet, but do it. If you want to end a relationship, write down exactly what you're going to say. Rehearse. Prepare yourself mentally. If you want to change a behavioral pattern, identify the trigger that makes you fall into it and create an alternative plan for when that trigger appears. Small action, but action, movement, anything other than remaining paralyzed. Let me tell you what really happens when you go out. First, you breathe. For the first time in months or years, you take a deep breath and feel the air truly fill your lungs. The constant tension in your shoulders relaxes. You realize you were living in perpetual survival mode, and now you can finally rest. Then you start to remember who you were before. Interests you abandoned return. Energy you no longer had returns. You start to smile more easily. You laugh at small things. You feel hope. That emotion, you had forgotten what it felt like. But Scorpio, here's the hard part I need to tell you. Leaving will hurt some people. Your boss might get angry. Your partner might feel betrayed. Your family might not understand. And you, with your tendency to carry everyone else's emotional burden, will want to stay to spare those feelings. But here's what you need to understand. You are not responsible for keeping other people comfortable at the cost of your own life. You didn't come into this world to sacrifice yourself on altars that nobody asked you to build. And about the people who will judge your departure, let them be. Their opinion about your life doesn't pay your bills, doesn't heal your mind, doesn't live your experiences. Comfortable people will always criticize those who have the courage to leave their comfort zone because your action exposes their cowardice. Don't let the fear of others' judgment keep you in a prison that is slowly killing you. You'll also have to deal with the part of you that's addicted to drama. Yes, that part exists and is strong in Scorpios. You're so used to intensity that peace can seem boring. The absence of constant conflict can feel empty. Your brain will try to create new dramas to fill the void left by the old drama. Be aware of this. Don't sabotage your exit by creating new problems just because your mind is confusing peace with boredom. Scorpio, there's a specific reason why this message has reached you right now. It's no coincidence. You're at a breaking point. That place where you either finally act or you completely resign yourself. And resignation is death for a Scorpio. You weren't made to accept situations that don't serve you. You were made to destroy what doesn't work and be reborn from what remains. But you have to choose conscious destruction instead of waiting for it to come chaotically. Leaving where you are isn't about abandoning responsibilities. It's about taking on the most important responsibility of all, creating a life worth living. Not a life that looks good to others, but a life that feels good to you when you're alone with your thoughts at 3 in the morning. A life where you're not constantly calculating how much longer you can hold on before collapsing. And here's something crucial. You don't need to justify your departure to anyone. You don't need to convince people that your reasons are valid. You don't need to wait until the situation becomes so obviously terrible that everyone agrees you should leave. You can leave simply because you no longer want to stay. That's reason enough. Your life isn't a democracy. You don't need consensus or approval. When you finally get out, some people will ask you, "How did you do it? How did you have the courage?" And you'll laugh because the truth is, you didn't have courage. You had paralyzing fear, but you did it anyway. Because courage isn't the absence of fear, it's action despite it. And Scorpios know how to do things that are frightening. You are made of survival and transformation. It's literally your nature. You just forgot that while you were trying to be reasonable and responsible by staying where you shouldn't be. Let me also prepare you for the grief that may come. Yes, grief. Even when you leave something that hurt you, there's a process of mourning the lost time, the wasted opportunities, the version of yourself that died there. Allow yourself to feel this. Cry if you need to. Be angry if you need to. Process it without judgment. And then, and this is crucial, move on without looking back with regret. You did the best you could with the awareness you had at the time. Now you have more awareness. Use it. Leaving will also teach you who your people really are. Some people you thought were close will disappear when you're no longer available to be used or to validate their limited choices. But others, genuine people who truly care about you, will celebrate your liberation. They will support you even when they don't fully understand. They will be there during the difficult days of transition. These are the people who deserve your time and energy in your new life. Scorpio, do you want to get out of where you are? Then you need to stop looking for the perfect exit and recognize that any door that takes you away from where you are is the right door. There is no path without risk. There is no change without discomfort. There is no transformation without the death of what was before. You know this better than anyone. It's the essence of your sign. Now it's time to apply this knowledge to your own life. The last thing I'm going to tell you is don't wait any longer. Don't wait for Monday. Don't wait for the new year. Don't wait until you feel 100% ready. You never will be. Start now, today. This conversation is your turning point. You'll look back a year from now and remember, that's when I decided. That's when everything changed. But only if you truly decide. Decision without action is just fantasy. Share in the comments simply, I'm going to leave. 3 words that mark your decision. It doesn't matter if you don't know how yet. It doesn't matter if you're afraid. State your intention here, now, publicly. This transforms thought into commitment. Subscribe to the channel because in the next videos I'll give you specific practical tools for each type of prison you might be experiencing. How to leave toxic relationships without guilt. How to quit draining jobs without compromising your financial security. How to break self-destructive patterns you've been repeating for years. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any step of your liberation journey. Scorpio, do you want to get out of where you are? Then get out. Not tomorrow. Not when everything is perfect. Now. Take the first step today, even if it's small. Even if it's just researching alternatives. Even if it's just admitting out loud that you can't take it anymore. Even if it's just deciding on a date. Any movement is better than paralysis. You have the power to change your life. You always have. What are you waiting for?